D.C.?
Well, I elaborated on that earlier in the show, and there was a lot of very enthusiastic grassroots.
You just told us about
activity.
how pretty the girls were. That's all.
Well, I know, but you weren't listening to the first part. You keyed in on the key phrases. But there was a great grassroots thing, but I think his organization let him down because it did not seem to be aware of who was there. And there needs to be, as Bianchi, I think it was, brought it out, a central employment agency where you can apply for a position so they can get a load of who else is out there. Because right now, too often what happens is dependent upon whom somebody knows, whom submitted him to somebody else. That we had them for participating in any events or any Saturdays or whatever, or trying to do, and he didn't seem to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. Not with the crowd he has right now, but the enthusiastic grassroots thing was such that the staff is letting the ball drop on stick-ums like, no taxes on tips, promise, Donald Trump. That's very effective at getting somebody's attention.
So was Robert Kennedy there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Did you meet the president?
Yeah, I did. Valerie, focus us back, and we are digressing.
Okay.
All right, so at this time, what I'd like to do is welcome Dr. Mack. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you so much. Glad that you're here. Hello, Dr. Mack. How are you?
I'm good, sister. How you doing?
I'm blessed and favored. You are live with Willie D, and what I am going to do is give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. Then I'm going to toss it over to Willie D to I just want you guys to have a conversation because he had some questions regarding Juneteenth and maybe a few other questions regarding history, because I definitely want to start moving the platform in that direction so that we don't let others whitewash our history. So please, at this time, if you can introduce yourself.
Good, Brother D. Carl Mack. Certainly appreciated what you were saying, and I bonded with a lot of it. In particular, when you're trying to build something, you ain't got time to worry about others. And I always say to myself, lions ain't got time to listen to sheep. They're not quality to a lion. So, and that's what I get.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Volume's a little low. I don't know what's going on, but the volume is low.
Better? Is that a little bit better?
Hello? It's still low. I think overall it's Valerie's end.
Yeah. It's
okay, my brother, is that a little bit better?
That's better.
Yeah, it's a little,
Thank you for that, Willie.
So I'm not sure if you heard. Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard what I said, but what I alluded to is your statement in regards to keeping your focus on building. And I appreciated that because it resonates with me. And I always say to myself, lions, a sheep ain't qualified to talk to a lion, and a lion never listens to a sheep. So keep doing what you're doing. Absolutely, man. You too, man. I appreciate you. I was, Dad was telling me about the Juneteenth thing. It was a little, I guess, amusing to me a little bit because I thought everybody knew about Juneteenth because we were celebrating it here in Texas for a long time. When I was growing up, we were celebrating it. But when I got to be a grown man, I stopped celebrating it because I just felt like Judge Joe Brown felt about it. I feel like, man, that ain't really nothing to celebrate to me. That's an L. That's like me having a boxing match or something and losing, and then every year I commemorate the date that I lost that fight. Maybe I'm trivializing it or something, but trivializing. No, I'm having
I'm having problems understanding why you look at it as an L.
I look at it as an L because that was no specific accomplishment on our end to be liberated. Like, we didn't go out and fight.
Back up, my brother. I gotta stop you, Willie. I gotta stop you. Okay, check it out, bro. Over 200,000 black folks gladly enlisted in the force to fight for our freedom. 200,000 black folks. And it would have been more if they had to open it up for blacks. But one of the things you got to understand about the Emancipation Proclamation, it did three things. Number one, it said that those blacks enslaved, our ancestors who were enslaved in the states in rebellion against the Union, you're hereby free. And it freed them. Don't get it twisted. It did. And I can, it is a truism of history that people react on what they think happened rather than what actually happened. And I want to tell you what actually happened. So that's one thing it did. The other thing it did now, it did not free all of our ancestors. So those blacks in the border states, and there were 4, ultimately it became 5 border states. But the third thing it did that we don't talk about is that in that Emancipation Proclamation, you had people like Frederick Douglass who convinced Lincoln to sit on the sideline. We won't end on this. And Lincoln put in the Emancipation Proclamation the fact that blacks can now enlist in the Union Army. And we went in there to the sum of 200,000. So it ain't like we sat on the sideline and let's fight for our freedom. We went in there with it. So, so we went in there with it, right? And then we came back. We went in there with it, and we waited on this white. We waited on this white dude to sign this piece of paper. No.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, Will. I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry. Finish your story. Let me hear it.
No, okay. Well, no, I mean, you interjected, so maybe you have something different. Because I thought Abraham Lincoln signed the Declaration of Independence. I thought Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Yeah,
Emancipation Proclamation.
But the
General Order number 3.
Right.
Okay, that wasn't Lincoln, that was Granger, right?
Granger, okay, all right.
Okay, so the fact of it is, look, so Granger signed it. What's the problem with the fact that he signed it?
Now, my point is this: bigger than even him signing it was this. Like, okay, we got this Juneteenth celebration thing, right? That's supposed to be indicative of freedom. It's supposed to indicate be a symbolism of freedom, right? But in this country, black people have yet to have an equal stance in this country, in the country that we built. We deserve just as much, if not more, prosperity than anybody that's in this country. And we're still, all of these years later, I mean, we're still dealing with all of this discrimination.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That more than anything, that more than anything, because I am familiar with the fact that black people did fight, were enlisted in the army and fought and all that stuff. I got that. But what I'm saying more than anything, the thing that pissed me off more about anything is that it's like I said in the song. I said, mama's outside barbecuing ribs and links. It's Juneteenth, but to me it don't mean stink. It's a day of a celebration. But everybody wonder why Willie ain't celebrating. Well, things ain't perfect. I'm looking beyond the surface. So instead of drinking beer and playing dominoes, I'm sitting in the room with my eyes closed. I don't feel it. So I can't. It's like being in a relationship. Like if I can't feel it, I got to get out of it.
All right, then let me help you feel it. Let me help you feel it. Okay. So first, let's go to just the historical accomplishments of Juneteenth. I'm gonna tell you why it is worth celebrating. I listened to you, Willie. I think I called in for maybe 10, 12 minutes before we started this conversation, and I so vibed affirmation you have for black folks. Well, how not have that, Willie, when this is a day that black folks got free. Every day that black people got free is worth celebration. Shackles were real, player. And if we got out of them, that's worth celebrating. Now, what we do with that, that's a different story. Go back to 1981, March 3rd, when a brother sat on a balcony, and for the first time in our history, and we sat quietly back, this whole Rodney King thing, we sat quietly back and said, okay, we've been complaining about it, telling them about it, but they never done nothing about it. Now this videotape, now let's see how it plays out. And black folks, we were peaceful. What did they do? They acquitted them. But up until that point, up until this year, I had never seen a white police taken out of a courtroom in handcuffs. So now that harkens me back to the words of Frederick Douglass when he says, power will never be conceded. It must always be taken in a struggle. And then he goes on to say, he talks about you. He says, any man that detests agitation is a man who wants crops without plowing the field. He wants the ocean without its awful roar. He wants rain without thunder and lightning. Player, you and I are thunder and lightning. Everything that we've been doing to get Chauvin marched up out of there in handcuffs, that was thunder and lightning. And we're going to continue to bring thunder and lightning. Our ancestors have done it. America ain't what it should be, but it was our ancestors that brought it closer to what it could be. And you and I, versus complaining about it, you better remember what Carter G. Woodson said, the father of black history, when he wrote The Miseducation of the Negro. He said, real education means to inspire people to live more abundantly. Begin with life as you find it, then make it better. But the instructions thus far given most Negroes in colleges and universities work to the contrary. In many cases, we simply increase the number of malcontents who offer no solutions to what we complain about. So all I'm saying, player, is I understand the imperfections of America, but I'm not giving it up. Our ancestors fought, died for it. And as a result, I ain't giving it up. And she gonna get right. She gonna get closer to where she needs to be. And I'm teaching my boys, the young lions, they gonna continue that fight. I'm listening.
Doc, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I totally, 100%, I agree. I think fundamentally I disagree on whether we should celebrate or acknowledge. I'm fine with acknowledge. I will acknowledge. I do enjoy the freedom that I have because of the sacrifices that my ancestors made, our ancestors made, and I love them for that. I respect them. I adore them for that. And I would never do anything, purposely to try to diminish their struggles, or their contributions. I never did that. But like in my mind, and so this is why every day I go as hard as I do, because I acknowledge the fact that what they did to our people and what they continue to do to our people, and at the same time, the triumphs and stuff that we have gained throughout the years. I acknowledge all of that, but I'm not celebrating that. I'll acknowledge it. I acknowledge Juneteenth, but I'm not celebrating Juneteenth.
And I'm feeling you there. And look, just like you can't tell a man how to spend his money, I can't tell a man how to feel, but I'm going to just tell you where I am with it, right? So when I graduated from Mississippi State, I graduated with an engineering degree, mechanical engineering degree. I think I'm a formally educated man. But Willie,
you pretty sharp. My ex-wife is a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, there you go. Smart sister. My ex-wife is a chemical engineer, and she's smarter. She ain't the smartest woman I ever dated. She's the smartest person I ever messed with, man. She's serious, ferocious. So anyway, but when I graduated Mississippi State, man, I couldn't tell you 100 words about the black experience, and that includes Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and I'm still 94 words short. I ain't know about my blackness. And as I got in and I started studying, and this is why I celebrate the freedom, right? I remember one time as I was doing my research, and I'm reading about the Atlantic slave trade, and I'm reading about the Middle Passage. It's one thing to read the words. It's another thing to feel. And so I said to God that day, I said, God, just let me feel what it was like to be in the hull of that ship. Let me feel it. And, bro, you got to be careful what you ask for. For God, he let me have all of it. Bro, after about 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, God, I got it. No, man, he just kept that pain going. I could smell the stench, feel the cold, trying to back in the house. I'm like, God, I got it. Let me up. He wouldn't let me up. And I let that resonate inside of me. So now I think about it in slavery, bro. I think about it from a slavery standpoint. Now being in that hot sun, getting that whip, and one day, a day that they never dreamed about, all of a sudden we're free. I'm going to celebrate every day. Every day of that Civil War, some of our ancestors were being freed. And if I knew them and they told me to come to their celebration, their families, yes, I'm going to celebrate. That's worth celebrating, man. We got free of that. I'm going to celebrate, bro. I got to. And all it's going to do is make me remember. And that remembrance, that's what keeps us humble, man. That's why I don't believe my hype. My ancestors helped keep me humble. So I need to remember them. I need to. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. But for me,
you with me 99%. You with me 99.
Well, I guess the other percent is that I'm not celebrating. But I would say this. I would say that for me, it's kind of like I'm kind of like the dude who is, I'm kind of like the dude who is at the, my kid is graduating high school, and I have a subdued clap when her name is called. I'm proud of her. I'm glad for her accomplishments, and I'm totally excited about it. But my excitement is subdued, and so because I'm thinking in my mind, okay, got him. Okay, time to go to the next level. I'm thinking about college. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about going to this next level. We got more work to do, and so that's me. I just in my mind, it's like it's hard for me to celebrate, and this is part of my character also. It's just hard for me to celebrate. It's hard for me to celebrate when I feel like the job isn't complete.
Yeah, and I personally do not celebrate my birthday, but I celebrate everybody else's birthday. I'm with you personally. It ain't a part of me, but I will tell you this, player. When I do put in work, either in my community or research or whatever it is I'm working on, when I do put in work, I do like this every now and again. I like to just grab me some Black and Mild, grab me something to drink, and just chill it, man. That's my celebration. I will take time to smell my roses. Let's not get that twisted. But in the case of our ancestors, without question, and that of others, I do my own celebration. So I feel you on the subdued side of it. But I'm just saying to you, historically, now look, before I got to understand my blackness, and let me say this about education. Education has 4 components to it. It has a training component. They teach you how to read and write, arithmetic, and all that. It has a spiritual component. You need to believe in something that's bigger than you. It has a financial component, because if you don't know how to manage money, you're going to be an educated slave for the rest of your life. And then it has a cultural component. You need to know who you are. Well, I had them other components, but I didn't have that cultural component. And I will tell you this. I listened to you talking about respecting Black women, respecting Black, brothers respecting each other. And I will say to you, I never had that level of respect until I began to study the Black experience. When I studied it, all of a sudden this love for Black folks, it entrenched itself in a way, man. Look, I was working as an engineer in Seattle, and I was working for the county, designing wastewater treatment facilities, right? But there was a county sheriff. I had a 1-year-old child. I just got married, just bought a new house, big mortgage. I took to the streets in protest, shut the freeway down. It's one of the first times I led the march, shut the freeway down. Later, I get arrested. They tell me, hey, Carl, plead not guilty and stay out of trouble for 60 days, and we'll take this off your record. I said, I ain't do nothing wrong. I protested that court. Let's go to court. I go to court anyway. I get off on it, right? But the thing is, it was that type of fight. I never would have done that. But when I came to understand this experience of Black folks in this country and the price that was paid for us, as the chief servant for the NAACP, I was elected president of Seattle NAACP. When I walked into a white person's office to discuss discrimination and racism against Black folks, I always told them, if you want me to walk in here and hope you like me so that we can negotiate, I'm living on my knees and begging you, hoping you like me and you do the right thing, them days is done. I was that new and educated thug that got with him like that. But the only way that came with me, Willie, was that history. It unlocked all the pain of our ancestors. Was like a fury in me every time I dealt with discrimination. So all I'm saying to you, and that is the humility. Humble yourself and say, our ancestors who got out of slavery. Yes, that is celebrating. It is. And I don't care if we celebrate 365 days. It's worth it. That's the humility that history brings to you. So,
yeah,
that's what it did for me anyway.
And I was about to say, this is one of those situations where, you know, that information is going to be received, you know, in an individual capacity. Because for me, I feel the same way, man. Man, when I think about our ancestors and what they went through, it brings tears to my eyes. And even so, I still will not celebrate Juneteenth. I will acknowledge it, and I will, and I do revere it. I do revere the symbolism, you know. But I'm just not in a celebratory mood because
but let me say this to you, bro.
What they continue to do, the things that they continue to do, and when I see our people, you know, get these platforms and then target black folks, and then when I see black men and women who are in that space, in that so-called conscious space, social space, where they are disseminating information that is supposed to help black people and help forward the culture, and when I see them going at each other's neck, that is disappointing to me also, because I'm in my mind, I'm like, how can you be so educated and fall for this banana in the tailpipe, the same banana and the same tailpipe that they used on Malcolm and Martin? They did the same thing. They did the same thing to compromise the civil rights movement. And that's what's happening right now. And I'm like, all of these brilliant people, all of these smart people, they walking right into the same trap. Like, y'all don't see this. This is why I refuse to participate in that type. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm too smart for that.
Yeah, but see, you know, that humility that I'm talking about. So, you know, the sister Mary McLeod Bethune, she's the one that started Bethune College down in Daytona. Now it's Bethune-Cookman College, right? So in her last will and testament, you know, she makes this statement, and there's aspects of it, but here's what I could best remember. She says, you know, I leave you love. I leave you a thirst for education. I leave you respect for the use of power. That's something that resonated with me. That's why I'm talking to you about that humility. So what happens is when we, and this is just humanity, it ain't just black folks now, whenever people start rising up in life, white politicians the same way, we forget and we lose our humility. We start believing our own hype. We forget where we from. And see, that's why it says in the Bible, you know, when the brothers realized that the king, they said, hey, Jesus, let us sit on the right and left hand of your throne. And Jesus said, look, player, I can't give you that. He who is greatest among you will be your servant, and he who is servant of all will be chiefest of all. So we forget that we are in a position of servitude, and we start believing our hype. So a lot of people do that. But that's, you know, so again, that's one of the reasons I like the whole history thing, so that we can stay humble. But, you know, to your point, the other thing is when we see them fools forgetting, we have to call them out. You know, all that about let's just handle it behind closed doors. Look, first of all, I can't even get behind your closed doors because you got your gatekeepers doing it. So if I can't talk to you privately, I'll talk to you publicly. You know? So,
well, I think.
But anyway,
I
appreciate this conversation, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too, man. But I think it's like, on a personal note, if I identify a black person and I think that black person loves black people, I'm gonna give that person some more flexibility. And what I mean by this is that none of us are perfect. We all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So I know that. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna go on record right now and tell you. Oh, I'm going to do future. I can tell you that right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to do something, right? Now, you know, does that mean that I deserve to be thrown away? You know, no. And because I know my heart, and I know that my record, I'll put my record up against anybody who got anything negative to say about me. I'll put my community record up against them. I'll put my donations record up against them. I'll put my going to the prisons and speaking to inmates who are hopeless and alternative schools and visiting old people and just random acts of kindness, I'll put that up against any of these jokers. Most of these jokers ain't got nothing but mouth. They're not doing anything in the community. All they do is run their mouth and talk down on black folks. So for me, those type of people, they can get it anytime. The people that I know that wake up and all they ain't got no problem calling black people out, but they ain't got no energy for white folks. Oh, they can get it. They're gonna get it all day for me. But if I feel like a black person, if I feel like somebody loves black people and they say something that I disagree with, or they do something that I disagree with, I'm not going to jump out in public and call that person out, man, because let me tell you something, man, we already got enough enemies. We got enough enemies. Yeah. We fighting so many battles, man. This is why we can't get strong enough like we're capable of, because we got all this inner fighting going on. So I'll avoid these type of situations. Yeah,
I feel and receive what you're saying, but what I am saying is this, and I agree wholeheartedly. But there are some who are gatekeepers, and they got there because we didn't say nothing. We didn't call them out, right? And it's just, some folks like that, you have to, and look, when you was talking about Stephen A., I received that, I received that, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, man.
So anyway, you said you had some questions about Juneteenth. If you had some questions, or just history in general, I'm more than willing to try the best. I'm a student of history. I don't declare to be an expert, but I do like digging.
Yeah, I think I'm good for now. I just wanted to have a discussion with you more than anything, and I think think that was achieved. So, I'm good. Yeah. But if I have any follow-ups, I definitely would like to reach out to you and connect with you, because I do like how you think. I like how you think.
Thank you. And so I'm this, but let me just say this about Juneteenth. Here is my issue with Juneteenth, right? It's really not with Juneteenth. It's with the perpetrators for Juneteenth. Now, I absolutely I'm gonna celebrate Juneteenth. I think it's all that. But Juneteenth should not have been marked a federal holiday. It never should have been. It never should have got there. And the reason it shouldn't have got there is because America said, and these are the black folks who were pushing it. Oh, and the trust and believe there was a lot of us pushing the agenda. But what America and what folks were saying is, we're making it a federal holiday so that we can mark an end to America's original sin. And most of us have been taught that those in Galveston were the last blacks, and that ain't true. That ain't true. And this whole, they got the news 2.5 years later, ain't true either, right? But there's truth to it. There's truth about what happened. But my problem is that if you want to say June 19th marked the end of slavery, when you study the history, there were 250,000 of our black ancestors still enslaved in Kentucky and Delaware after Juneteenth. And they didn't taste freedom until December 6, 1865, when Georgia became the 27th state to ratify the 13th Amendment. So when they saying, but Carl, it's just symbolic. Ain't nothing symbolic about 250,000 people still in bondage. And if we want to say black lives have always mattered, and if they would have taken a lesson from Harriet Tubman when they asked her, Sister Harriet, you free, so why you keep going back trying to rescue other folks? And Harriet looked at him and says, how is I going to be free when my peoples ain't free? So how does going to tell me you're celebrating the end of slavery when you leaving 250,000 black souls enslaved? That's my problem with what they did in making it a federal holiday. If you want to make a federal holiday, make a federal holiday when the end of chattel slavery in America occurred. And unlike Christmas, we don't know when Jesus was born, so we pick a day. That's symbolism. We know when chattel slavery ended, and that was on December 6th. So that's my problem with it, and that's why I want our people to do the scholarship and understand the history, because it allows us not to have this type of embarrassment and disrespect. There's 250,000 black souls out there saying, Carl, remember us, man. Don't let them fools forget about us. I hear you, fam, and I'm a remember, and you and I, we happen to remember like that. So that's kind of my issue with it, but we'll chat it up later on it.
Yeah, and and after we get through with all of that, cut the check. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Cut that shit.
Well, listen, player.
That's what,
let me tell you this.
What is that?
No, you better trust. You better trust and believe that I got a historical presentation on reparations. You better trust and believe that.
Y'all talking about like this whole thing. I think also that this Juneteenth thing was like you say, they throwing us a bone. If you want to throw us a bone and cut that shit.
Let me tell you this. See, I don't look at it. I don't even look at it like they threw me a bone, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because, see, I want everything that belongs to me, everything. So, yeah, but trust and believe. If you think that Juneteenth, I got a historical presentation on Juneteenth, you ought to hear the history of reparations, player. And you going to hear it, Willie D. You going to hear it. I promise you that. Mm-hmm. Eyes are coming.
Well, yeah, man. Well, we'll chop it up again, man. You know, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. I'm glad that linked us up.
Yeah. She's a good sister, man. I told her all she got to do is point. I'll hunt. I'm in Maryland. So I'm originally from Mississippi, right? Then I lived in Seattle for 18 years, and then I came here in Virginia as the executive director for the National Society of Black Engineers. So I used to be the executive director of that group. And then I retired in 2013. And so instead of going out to get a job, man, you know, my two boys, you know, my ex-wife, man, she had been raising the boys, and I was trying, you know, I had to travel everywhere and do everything. I had to work no more. I just stay home. And my boys, it was at that pivotal time where they needed me. So I've been retired since 2013, man, just raising my boys, playing around with history, playing golf, you know, just chilling right now, you know.
So you are
doing a lot of study. Yeah. I'm in Maryland. I'm right in the DMV area, so I'm in Fort Washington, so I'm like 10 miles outside of DC, right?
Okay, so
right outside of DC.
So you're a minute, yeah, because my I go out to I go to Baltimore a lot.
Yeah, Baltimore.
Yeah, I got a buddy out there. You know, Kwesi and Fume, son Michael.
Kwesi. Yeah. As a matter of fact, when I heard Mfume speak many years ago, that's what inspired me to get involved with the NAACP, man. Solid brother.
Yeah. His son. There's a song that was played earlier before we started talking called "You Still Black." His son actually shot the video for that in 1992.
Yeah. Good looking out.
Yeah.
Good looking out right there.
Yeah.
No, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. And like you say, Val, thank you so much for hooking up brothers up, man. And I like the fact that, you know, we could sit down and have a conversation like that. We may not see 100% eye to eye, but, you know, and even if we saw it completely different, you know, the idea that brothers can just sit down and have an exchange of ideas, you know, it's a beautiful thing. So, man, I'm going to just tell you, you blessed me today with just the conversation to be able to sit down and have that kind of conversation and then have it real. You know, people think of me on the engineering standpoint, and that's good. But, man, you know, sometimes with me, and I just want to unload with however I want to say it. And I just feel like, you know, it was just two brothers chopping it up today, right?
Absolutely, man.
No doubt.
Well,
good job. Good.
All right,
man, that's amazing. Do you have what do you want people to take away from this, Willie D? And then hold tight, Dr. Mack, I got a few more questions for you. What would you like people to take away from this?
From what? The conversation me and Doc just had?
Yeah, because here's one thing I want to say, a couple of things. And I want to applaud myself because as a woman, I knew to be quiet and let the men talk. And I think we need to do that a little more. I think that we don't always need to have input and that we do need to let the men, and I hope this doesn't get me in trouble because I'm not a feminist. I believe in the hierarchy. Right. I just believe in the hierarchy. So I wanted to applaud myself there first. But the other thing is, and thank you for what you just said, the other thing that I wanted to applaud is that's what I've been screaming these last 3 weeks because for some reason or another, my show has become Judge Brown show has become the Jerry Springer of podcasting. And I'm like, guys, we don't have to get upset just because we have a difference of opinion. I mean, like, just say what you got to say and let it be okay.
Yeah,
You know, so I
But
am
see,
so thankful that you guys addressed that.
Tango, it takes two to have a conversation, a respectful conversation. And so a lot of these dudes, they just don't know no better. They've been arguing like that their whole lives. This ain't just happened when they started getting into podcast space. They've been like that.
Yep.
They got them type of ways. They get triggered. They get emotional. And excuse my French and pardon my vernacular, but it's two things that a man must absolutely learn to control, and that's his emotions. And you know what I'm saying. You have to. A man must control those two things. And once you and any real man know what I'm talking about. If you can control those two things, if you can control those two things, you can rule the universe. As a man, you can rule the universe.
Willie, I would throw a third one in there, his tongue. Because I believe, trust me, there are times the tongue is triggered by emotions.
But
emotions, no doubt.
Emotions,
no doubt. I see.
That emotions is gonna cover all of that, man. It's like
I receive it.
I just know that, just growing up and watching, I just watch so many people lose their lives and lose their families and all kinds of stuff, by not being able to control those two things. And I know that once I got those two things under control for myself, once I got those two things, so I became a better man.
Yeah, no doubt. But Sister Val, listen, ain't no getting in trouble. I think we as brothers receive what you said, but listen, just big props for. And I didn't expect this today. I did not expect that I'd be having, a conversation with a good brother and just chopping it up like that. And I just want to tell you, you've been soup for my soul today. So thank you both.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Willie D, real quick.
Shout out that if it's something that I could,
social media.
But if it's something that I could say that would be a good takeaway is, it is the fact that, it's very possible for men to have a conversation and be in disagreement and still have a respectful conversation.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
and that seems to be a lost art these days, and it's few and far between when it comes to men who can have these kind of conversations. And that's just because a lot of these dudes are unlearned. So if you don't get it from your daddy, you don't get it from a role model, be it somebody physically in your space or on TV or something, then you just got to figure it out. But you got to figure it out because the greatest relationships always involve effective communications.
I receive it.
Bravo.
I receive it, brother.
I receive it too. Definitely. There's a guy on the show, he always says, Valerie, are you picking up what I'm putting down? I'm like, yeah, I am.
No doubt.
Yeah, I'm picking it up. But thank you. Once again, please shout out your social media, Willie D, and Dr. Mack. I'm going to talk to you a few more minutes.
Yeah, no
Willie
problem.
D live.
All right, family. I hope you enjoyed today's audio broadcasts. Please meet me down in the comment section. Please, please, please help me get into the algorithm. Hit the like button, share if you care. And please, please, please remember, love thyself. I love you. I love you to life. Talk to you later. Bye.